Hello, friends, and welcome to Rise Up in Real Estate, where we are on a quest. We are looking for the extra in the ordinary. And I'm Tad Fulford, and I will be your host on this journey where we will take an honest look at what makes ordinary people extraordinary. Exactly how can we be extra in our personal and our professional lives? In this season of the Rise Up in Real Estate adventure, there will be a monthly rhythm, meaning each month we will have 4 unique episodes. In one episode, we'll tackle a pressing current real estate industry thought. In another, we will chat with a local difference maker in the real estate space. For our 3rd episode, we will host a respected national thought leader. And finally, we will have a 4th bonus and surprise episode. And in each episode, we will be digging into not only what those people think, but who those people are. Along the way, it's my hope that you'll laugh some, you'll be challenged some, you will get inspired some, and if we are lucky, maybe even figure out a way or two you can rise up in your own life and be the best human that you can be. So the challenge is, let's all rise up. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a real treat today. I've got 2, yes, count them, 2 guests on Rise Up in Real Estate podcast for your listening pleasure, and I think you're going to enjoy the stories. I enjoy my time with both of these folks. One is a newer friend. One has been a friend for some time, but it's fun to see what's going on between the 2 of them, which we'll leave for your listening pleasure. We'll share that in just a few minutes. But today I have Lindsay Benton and Marco Morales. Welcome to Rise Up in Real Estate.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Tad.
Great to have you. We're looking through all this equipment. I got to figure out how to set up these stands so we don't have to stare through each other. It's not doing great for my peripheral vision here. But Lindsay, I'm excited to have you here. Lindsay, tell me a little bit about who you are and where you came from. Where were you born? I'm trying to find connection. Tell me something about yourself.
Absolutely. So I am born and raised right here in Ordie County, actually. So we call ourselves a unicorn. If you can find all 8 of us, you get a prize.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, just kidding. But I'm from Conway, South Carolina. I was actually adopted when I was 4 years old by a family member. So I've got family all over the beach.
Neat. Were you born in Conway Hospital?
I sure was. So if you've ever been to Conway Hospital, you've probably seen the memorial tree they have there, and my name is right up on the wall if you want to go look for it.
How cool is that? So those of you that might be listening from afar, because we have a listener in Germany, we have one in England, actually. We're in the coastal region of South Carolina, and Conway's just a little bit inland from Myrtle Beach. So I'm glad. So you were born at that hospital. My wife was born at that hospital.
Was she really?
She was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
She's the 2nd of the 8 unicorns.
Wow. All right. Well, I found 2 now. So how many more to go? 6?
So
Yeah.
Math, this is our mortgage person. The math is her strong suit. 8 minus 2 is 6. Good
wow.
job.
Thank you.
So welcome. I'm excited to dive in and find out a little bit more about your story. Marco Morales, good friend Marco. Tell me a little bit about you that I might not know. Where are you from? What's your allegiance to?
Let's see. I was born in New London, Connecticut.
Okay.
In New London, Connecticut, it's a town right next to Groton, which is where submarines were built. That's where my dad worked for 36 years, building submarines.
No way.
So yeah, he worked at General Dynamic, and then there's Electric Boat. That's what it's called. And
nice.
Yeah, Groton, there's a naval base right there. So yeah, we grew up with so many Navy families and everything. They had the housing on there. You just get used to it. You didn't realize it wasn't everywhere.
Yeah, that's neat. So I know, and I also know because of my relationship with you over the years, you have a pretty close relationship with your father. What do you call him?
When he was young, he has dark hair now. Now it's getting white. But when he was young, he used to have a nickname Blondie.
Okay.
And Blondie in Spanish, it's not a direct translation, but so his nickname is Cano.
Okay.
Yeah, it's spelled Cano, so it's not Cano. It's because in Spanish the A is ah sound. It's not O. It's not like Cano. It's Cano.
Is that like Americano?
Yeah, sort of. Like
it is
that,
actually.
Yeah. It's great correlation. Right
That's
there.
a great and I want the listeners to know that I asked Marco about his dad. He has a very honorable relationship with his dad. I've watched, my parents both passed 6 years ago now. But I watch how you are with your dad, and it's a model of how people should be with their dads. We just learned about in churches. This is not on the script at all, but we talked about honoring our parents. And I think the way that you live with your dad is honorable.
Yeah,
So,
I feel very lucky. And I know
Yeah.
sometimes that's cliche, but I really, really do feel lucky.
yeah, once you get to know Marco, right, Lindsay, that's genuine.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
just who he is.
120%.
Yeah. So, okay, let's get into the nitty gritty here. What's the relationship between my two guests? So I've left you for 3 minutes and 55 seconds wondering what is the relationship. There is none. They're friends. We have a real estate agent here and a mortgage broker, like a loan originator. And I'll let you figure out which is which as they talk. But they are doing something pretty cool recently. And I want one of you to elaborate, maybe both of you, just to kind of elaborate where it started, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. Marco, you want to jump into that?
Yeah, I'll start. So, gosh, I don't even remember how long ago now, maybe 2-3 months ago, I went to Dr. Freed, otherwise known as Sarah.
Yes.
And
yes.
I told her, I was like, listen, I'd like to do some videos. Would you be interested in doing it? And she goes, oh, she doesn't sell. And I was like, I guess I sort of knew that, but not really. So then I was like, yeah, well, tell me who you think would be a good fit. So she kind of played around. At first she was thinking Heather, but then she came to me, she goes, oh, I think Lindsay would be great. And I was like, fantastic. And then we just started and we just jumped in, and we're trying to be more regimented now, but it's literally every video we do, it's always so much fun. It just really is. And I know we need to do 1,000 more, but that's my intro there.
So you didn't know?
Sure.
Did you not know Lindsay at that point?
Well,
Not really,
her,
no. Yeah, Sarah reached out to me and she said, hey, I've got this guy. He's a realtor. I'm sure you've met him before. And I was like, oh, yeah, the guy upstairs with the cockroaches on his desk. And if you're wondering why the cockroaches, they're fake. Don't worry. No cockroaches in the office that are real. But
yeah, not anymore.
Right. So I started laughing. I said, yeah, sure. I'd love to reach out to him. And, being myself and being new in the industry, I was like, well, this is a great opportunity. But, I'm kind of nervous, just like I was coming in here today. But I reached out, sent that email, and just said, hey, I'd like to hop in this thing, whatever it is. And it's turned out great so far. And lots of people who are catching on and following. And we just try to have a good time with it,
So you guys do a video, is it once a week now? Or
we're trying to release it. Here's the deal. Like, I came up with this. I'm big into alliteration.
Okay.
Because my name is Mark Morales. So,
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we want to do Model Mortgage Monday Minute. Or
Ah.
Monday Model Mortgage Minute, something to that effect.
Yeah.
So we want to start releasing videos on Mondays. But then, I go out of town and stuff. Everything gets in the way. So we need to bank a couple of videos and then start releasing them. But we haven't quite gotten there yet.
Yeah, we're getting there though. And also we're going to add with Marco Morales on the end, right? For 2 more M's.
Yeah, we need to do a couple more alliteration. I love that. And I what I appreciate is the listeners will know we've talked about this before. Progress is better than perfection. So we're doing this podcast and we're going to make mistakes, right? Like Marco, you haven't noticed, Marco talks with his hands a lot, right?
Yep.
And everything you do on a desk picks up on the microphones. Like he's touched the desk a few times, now he's panicked. But that's, to me, so what, right? I mean, if I drop the pen and it makes a little bit of a noise or somebody knocks on the door, I'm not going to start over. You've seen my videos before. You just roll with it. The perfection part is what paralyzes. See that alliteration? What paralyzes a lot of people. And I really appreciate that about you, Lindsay. Like, listen, what did you do before you are a loan originator in the mortgage space?
So I've done a lot of things. I started out at my first job at 12 years old, actually.
I knew it. I knew that was going to be your answer.
So I was kind of just hung out with my mom when she went to work. So she worked at a scrapbook store in the summers at Barefoot Landing. If you're not familiar, that's one of the tourist attractions here that's grown a lot. So she worked at a scrapbook store, and, being a kid, I got brought to work with her, and I did not like scrapbooking. So I would try to find things to do, and I'd wander around, and right before long, I had quite a few friends. So made friends, and I like to shout out to Tasha Dunbrack. She was one of my very first bosses who I learned a ton from. But she owned a cell phone store and a boutique, and I walked in and I said, hey, can I help you? And, she's like, well, I mean, yeah, you can do this, but I can't pay you. You're 12 years old, Right. So I spent a whole summer getting to know this lady, and she took me in as kind of like her daughter. And my mom would literally come to the point where she dropped me off at her office. So I ended up working at her store. And the next summer she said, hey, I got a proposition for you. I can't pay you, but there's no law that says you can't put a tip jar outside. And if people choose to give you money, that's none of my business.
Right.
So this was the time when cell phones had the screws.
Yeah.
And you could unscrew faceplates. So I spent the summers unscrewing faceplates and changing people's phone covers for them. And I probably made more money than I did when I was 18 years old doing that. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't know where it went, but that was my very first job. Amazing. And then from there, expanded restaurant industry. I've done lots of sales. Lastly was timeshare. So that kind of left me wanting something more. And that's how I kind of got here.
Yeah, I have appreciated, those of you that don't know, Lindsay works with Motto Mortgage, our mortgage company here, with our family of brands, I guess you would call it. And I've been, we've had lots of people come in and out, and lots of people try to step up to the plate. And I've been so proud of Lindsay's persistence. Like, she's always the one, and glad you asked her about video. She's always the one to say, yes, I'm going to do it. Marco, tell me a little bit. I want your expertise. Because I know it runs deep. What's going on in this marketplace? Like, where do we head from here? And what are you guys finding when you're talking about your videos and people are giving you feedback and stuff? Maybe you guys give me your perspective on the market. What in the world's going on?
Let's see. The market has been pretty topsy-turvy, in my opinion. For the beginning of the year, it was a case of listing sold in a day, probably 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 offers. And then we slowly transitioned away from that to kind of where we are now. And now it's, if you have a listing and it's listed for more than a week, it's like, oh, what's wrong with it?
Right.
And that's total insanity. And I personally, I'm glad things are transitioning back into more of a normal market.
Yeah.
Because something that who did I hear this from? I was listening to, probably TikTok, if I'm being honest.
Right.
And it was
source of all knowledge, TikTok.
Yeah. But it was a reference about the fact that it was listing domination.
There you go. Okay.
Yes.
Similar to
listing
TikTok.
Domination, he was talking about how anybody could be an agent for the market that we just got through.
Right.
He goes, and now when things are getting back to normal, that's when good agents are going to shine, because you understand that listings aren't going to sell in a day. They're not going to sell over asking. I'm personally dealing with an appraisal issue right now, which has been contested, and that's another podcast in itself.
Yes, we need to have a podcast. We should have we should bring an appraisal and sit them on a hot seat and just fire questions. How long have you been a realtor?
This is my 10th year.
10th year. So you've got a little bit of experience. 10 years ago was 12, so it was a good market. You've been in a pretty good market ever since you got in the business. This is maybe the first little bit of there's always adjustments, but the first little bit of a change, really. And people say it now that what the problem is realtors' expectations aren't being met by the way the market is now. For 2 years, we've been kind of spoiled a little bit, and now things aren't going like that. We have a listing for 9 days, and our sellers are losing their mind, right? And the challenge is going to be who can make it through that. What realtor's got the expertise and the savvy to make it through the seller saying, hey, what's wrong with it? And you say back to them with expertise, nothing. It's actually still not normal. This is way less than it normally. I mean, we used to have things on the market. How long? I mean, 150 days? It was not out of the ordinary.
Not out of the ordinary. I've had a couple of listings that took me almost a full year to sell.
That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, what would you, last year to sell something that took more than a year, you would have had to price it twice what it was worth.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, who knows? Maybe we probably still would have had somebody buy it.
Still had an offer, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably so. Maybe only one, maybe.
Yeah. And then to pull the appraiser out then.
Yes. Oh, gosh. That's right.
If there's one thing I do miss because of the situation I'm in now is people waiving appraisals.
Yes. Yeah, that was
or appraisal gaps.
That was common. Yep, yeah, that was very common.
Do you enjoy this podcast and you're wondering how you can start your own? Well, you're in luck. We help entrepreneurs launch their podcast in 4 weeks. My name is Haley Murch, and my team and I manage this podcast. I'm a podcast expert who specializes in helping entrepreneurs launch their podcasts. Podcasts are a great way to expand your audience, provide a free resource for your audience, and to grow and monetize your business. We have openings this fall to help entrepreneurs start their podcasts. We would love to help you achieve this goal before the end of the year. Don't keep waiting. The podcast world needs your voice. We also offer support after the launch process to help maintain your podcast, and we do provide other services to current podcasters. If any of this sounds like something you want to do and need support with your podcast journey, please contact me at hello@HaleyMurch.com, HAILIMURCH.com, or see the links in the show notes to book a call. We cannot wait to help you start your podcast.
Lindsay, you sound like such an expert, but when did you get your license? Like, when did you pass your test?
So it took me a couple times.
I'm not worried about that.
Yeah,
when was the most recent?
The most recent was in May. I passed my test in May. So people are always asking me, they say, well, what do you think about getting into a market like this? And I said, well, I'm not scared. Why should you be scared? And I think that's something awesome that we provide here at Motto and a lot of places around that are in Myrtle Beach, and especially within RE/MAX, is that everyone we deal with, especially Marco, Tad here, we're all persistent and we know who we are, and we're willing to step up to the plate. And so a market like this doesn't really scare me. People, what about the rates? Well, there's always refinances. There's always different things. So for me, getting into the new market, I don't know anything else to think. You know what I mean? So I'm just going for it.
Yeah. And here's the thing about Lindsay. I think I'm right in this because I know people. If I don't know anything, at least I know people. I bet it wouldn't matter what you chose to do, you would have that same attitude.
I think so. Yeah.
Like, good for us, Marco, maybe that she didn't get her real estate license because you'd have to compete with her. Good for us that you've chosen to be a loan originator. But I want the listeners to take note of the can-do attitude. Like, the only way to lose, we've said this tons of times on this podcast, the only way to lose is to quit.
Yep.
If you quit, you lose. If you quit, you give up the power. If you are persistent, and you'll see my guess is next 24 months, you'll see a lot of people get out of the business. Both of these businesses that we're talking about today that probably shouldn't have been in there to begin with.
Yep. Because
it's not going to be handed to you on a silver platter like it was the last 24 months. There's probably a whole nother podcast on what it means to be adopted by a family member, what it means to be raised the way you were raised. I would love to go down that road, but maybe have you on here again.
Yeah.
And that's the reason you guys are here. You're good humans. That's the coolest thing for me. I mean, there's people out there trying to get by not being a good person, but to me, I'm not interested. So I appreciate you guys being here. Marco, I don't even know this about you. What did you do before real estate? Just going back a little bit.
I managed a couple of kitchens.
Okay.
Island Murata Fish Company. That used to be the Bass Pro Shops.
Yeah.
And then Planet Hollywood.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Planet Hollywood. I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, I love that. Is that when you met Pete Solicito back in the day?
My first job when I got to the beach was supposed to be at Bob Evans.
Okay.
But I could never get an interview with a manager. I went there like 5 times and I couldn't get hired. So then All-Star, worked out great. All-Star Cafe was hiring. So I went there to fill in an application. They weren't open yet. Planet Hollywood was. So I walked in, I'm in a hat, cutoffs. I'm just there to get the
application.
Yeah. And then fill it out and to bring it back. But they're like, oh no, come in and talk to somebody. So I got hired on the spot, and it's the best thing that happened to me. I met virtually everybody I know in Myrtle Beach is through Planet Hollywood in one form or another. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's what I love about social media. Like, I'll watch your posts sometimes and I see the people that are commenting. I'm like, how in the world does Marco know all of these people? But you've been here and you got roots here. Bit of trivia. Where did Planet Hollywood sit? Does anybody know what sits there now?
Yes.
What's there now?
It's the Carolina.
The Tavern, right?
Yeah.
Ale House. Yeah.
The Carolina Ale House.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That big dome used to be right there. Yeah. It's so weird how the landscape of Myrtle Beach has changed over the years now.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really fascinating to see, like, the Palace is no longer the Palace. Amazing stuff. So I'm going to ask you a question, and this one's a little bit awkward for some people to answer, but maybe not for you guys since I gave you just a tiny bit to think about it. We're looking for what makes normal people, like ordinary people, extraordinary. And this is awkward because I'm going to ask you, what is your superpower? Like, let's just say that you're on a deserted island, because a desert island is confusing, but a deserted island, and you had to bring something to the table. What would it be? Like, maybe you're the best chef, or maybe you're the funniest, or maybe you're the hardest working, or whatever. What is your superpower? Have you discovered that yet in your years?
I mean, I think, over time I've discovered things that people have said to me that could be my superpower.
Yes.
One of them I heard was that I have the lasso of truth, like Wonder Woman. And I thought that was awesome.
Oh, wow. What does that mean?
Gonna need you to elaborate on that, please.
You got to dig a little. Let's go a little bit further with that. Thank you so much. But what the heck does that mean?
Exactly. And so I looked into it, and so the Wonder Woman is a little bit different from me, I think, but maybe not quite, because what she does is she's able to basically captivate people and take them in and make them interested. And she has this curiosity about her and to other people that makes people interested in her.
Okay.
And she is able to actually get them to tell the truth.
Okay.
And in my world, I think what that means to me is that I'm able to break people open. My grandmother always said to me, you got to treat the janitor the same as the CEO. So I always try to do that in my life. And I feel like people notice that. And so some things that you might hear from some people, I always tend to get the full open book. Once you start talking for a few minutes, you just kind of crack open. And I think that's something that's carried over into my business. And the reason why I'm able to open up to so many different types of people, because, I've been the janitor job and I've just, started working when I was young, and then I worked my way up, and, being adopted, I'm super appreciative of my parents and want to give back. And so I feel like people see that. And so they want to tell you the truth and they want to be honest with you. So I think that's what they meant by that.
I love that. The lasso, that might be the title of this episode. I don't know, the lasso of truth. That's awesome. But I can see that. I mean, I don't know you super well yet, but I believe that about you. Just looking at you as you talk, the listeners can't see you, but you're very convincing. Like, even if I didn't believe you had the lasso of truth, now I believe it because you told me that you did, and I believed it 100%.
Absolutely, Ted. I think that's how I got here too, and decided to do mortgages, because it's something honest and rewarding, and something that people might open up to you about their situation they have going on, and you get to see it from start to finish. And just a shout out to Pam from the last podcast, talking about her story and how she was able to help that family. Being able to have people break open to you realizes, what you're in is rewarding, and you get to know the full story you might not have known if you had that lasso of truth.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you'd make the mention of Pamela Craigbaum, who was our guest. If I don't know what order these podcasts always hit the episode order, but Pamela was talking about. I was fascinated by her episode because, and I did the episode like this, but I listened to it afterwards. I was blown away. I was like, man, she really said what I wanted her to say, and what it was how do you not focus on cancer? How do you not focus on the illness? And she goes, without even really, it was like, I can't, she's like, I can't believe you asked that question because it's so obvious. Help other people. Focus on other people, and you don't focus on yourself. Yep. I mean, and for her to say that after 15 surgeries, and here I am living my happy, sheltered, perfect, non-adopted life, right? And there's the people that have been in the trenches that get that lasso of truth. Now, Marco, no pressure. What superpower do you have? And that's cool. You answered like a superhero answer, which I hadn't had before. But Marco, what you got?
Pass.
Pass?
I'm going to pass. Next question, please.
You have that prerogative. I love it. He just passed on the show. Now, come on. I can tell you your superpower.
All right. Honestly, I guess I can tell a joke. I can tell a dad joke. I can make people laugh in any situation. Which I think is good because I like laughing and having fun.
Yes.
And I also am a pretty good cook too. So.
Oh, I didn't know. What's your favorite thing to cook?
Honestly, I guess I like making steaks, but
yeah.
I mean, I cook chicken all the time. I started cooking in Puerto Rico. The dish of Puerto Rico, it's called rice and gandules.
Okay.
And it's rice and beans. And there's some other things that go into the recipe, but I actually just started making that I made it for my dad recently, probably about 3 months ago, and it came out pretty good. So actually I'm like, wow, I eat rice and gandules now.
Maybe you should have made us some food today, Marco.
Well, we got time. There's still time. Yes. Yeah. Marco, sponsored by Rice and Gandules. Congratulations. So that's, I think laughter is, of course, that's one of the things I'm passionate about. But I think laughter is definitely a superpower. I mean, you can lighten. And I was going to say, what I feel from you each day that I see you is you're a calming force to me. And you might not feel calm on the inside, which is ironic. Like people can feel one way and act another. But I think when you're in the room, people feel comfortable. And probably that humor has something to do with it. Like I've heard some of your dad jokes. Well, actually, one of your videos, you guys should go try to find it. Where can they find your videos, by the way? Can you tell me?
My YouTube channel. And
on my Facebook, Lindsay Benton. Feel free to give me an ad or a follow my business page as well. They're both there. You can watch me and Marco have competitions, dad joke competitions to be exact.
Yeah, I mean, she did pretty good.
Yeah, she did, but I mean,
You won, okay.
It's like, it was easy to make her laugh. I know it's like, oh, this is going to make her laugh. And you started laughing. It was funny.
So I did a little bit of stand-up comedy and a little bit of improv comedy in the past.
You won a competition. Don't let him fool you.
But what I was going to say about Lindsay is you're the perfect person to come to a comedy competition because you laugh at everything. It's like you're eager to laugh. And improv, people come to improv shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway, wanting to laugh. But when you go to stand-up, it's a whole different deal. Like, people are like, make me laugh. They got their arms crossed. But TJ O'Brien and Lindsay are perfect front row center people. You could say, hey, butter bread, and they would just bust out laughing. I love it.
Now.
So when I was listening to watching your video, Mandy and I were watching it together, the last one, the one you did on the dad jokes, and it was a competition so you could laugh the most. And Lindsay was done after like 30 seconds. She just laughed at everything. And Marco wasn't even telling jokes, and she was still laughing. But that's perfect.
Hey, I try to keep the laughter up in the room.
Yes, laughter is a great medicine. Okay, so let's see. Can you believe it's almost been 30 minutes?
No.
I mean, it goes like this. It goes like this. And I think there's like 4 or 5 different episodes we could pull out of this. We'll revisit down the road and ask some more questions. But what I wanted to get to at the very end, I always ask our guests 2 different things. I always ask what a book that they might recommend. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes. So maybe you can expand someone's horizons. But what is it that maybe makes a difference to you on a daily basis, or something you've read in the past, or something you hope to read? Tell us.
So I have a book. I actually brought it right here in front of me. It has a funny title, but it is a really great book. It's called How to Talk to Anyone. And you might hear me on here and you're like, why do you need to read that? But I read it a couple of years ago, and it's a phenomenal book. And I definitely recommend it to anyone, whether, highly experienced in the field, or any field for that matter, or new. The subtitle is 92 Little Tricks for Big Success in Relationships and Business Building. So it basically just gives you exactly what it says, 92 tips in the book. They describe it as the ultimate guide to the thinking person. So basically, in my eyes, it was a way to connect with people when you are younger and you're getting into, quite dog eat dog world for what I'm concerned.
Right.
I'm walking up to someone who's been in the business for 20 years. How do I seem confident? Right. And
right.
One of the excerpts, if you don't mind me sharing it's called The Flooding Smile.
Okay. I like it.
So it says, you don't want to flash an immediate smile when you greet someone, as though anyone who walked into your line of sight would be a beneficiary. Instead, look at the other person's face for a second. Pause, soak in their persona, and then let a big, warm, responsive smile flood over your face and overflow into your eyes. And it's basically all of those, 92 of them, how to connect with people on a business level, relationship level. And I just thought that it was a great book. So check it out. It's by Lil Lowndes, Leil.
We'll put a link to that in the show notes. That's a great one. I love stuff like that. When you talk about the flooding smile, I'm terrible at that. I'm just all teeth when somebody comes in the room. I don't care who it is, but I was talking to someone recently about how when you go into a room, you want to try to find and hear people's stories instead of telling your story. And what you just talked about is a little bit of that. Take it in for a minute. The smile's more sincere when you connect.
Definitely.
And not just give it away freely.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually think there was something about that in there, Tad. So maybe this is a good book for you.
Yeah. I just think it's funny that how to talk to anyone. You've obviously got some of that mastered, but good for you for wanting to be that person. Cause not are both of you extroverts or introverts? Socially, how would you say?
I'm an extrovert.
Extra?
I don't know. I think I kind of bounce between the two, I'm very comfortable talking to people who I already know, but when I know I'm going to meet someone and I haven't met them yet, I kind of get a little social anxiety. So I think I can bounce between the line there, which is shocking, but
I think that's interesting. Some of the most confident people I know, like my wife, is an extreme introvert. When we go to a group of people, she's right on my side.
Oh, yeah.
But if you hear her speak, you're like, she's clearly got it together. She's confident. But I think something like that would be great for an introvert that will have those little tips.
Definitely. I used to, when I worked in timeshare, wear a dinosaur pin every day on my suit jacket. And it's called a what's it. It's something that you always have on you, no matter what it is, that doesn't really fit what you're doing, where you are, or what you're wearing, so that people ask a question about it. Because if you are an introvert, it's a great conversation starter. And the best part is you don't have to ask about it. They ask about it. So another little tip there. What's it?
And Lindsay Benton is not 46 years old. She sounds like she's aged and wise.
Yeah.
But I mean, the first video we did, I'm going to go back for a second here.
Yeah.
She had so many notes and was so prepared, and I'm winging it. You know, I kind of knew more because I've been in longer, but I was like, oh my gosh, you were so prepared. And now that's how you come to every video. And now I feel like, here, run with it.
Hey,
make me look good.
That's why you dropped the dad jokes on her, because you said, I'm going to show you.
Yeah, right. We're both bringing out our skills here now. I'm kidding.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good point. That's why I asked her how long she'd been in business. And remember, the purpose of all of this is that you guys will connect if something they've said, like if somebody out there is born in Conway Hospital, somebody out there was adopted, somebody's from Connecticut, any of these things. You're a Buffalo Bills fan?
I am not.
Patriots fan.
Patriots fan.
I knew it was red, white, and blue. Yeah. They all run together to me. I was kind of confused. So you're a Patriots fan. Did Tom Brady ever report? Do you remember who Tom Brady is? Did he report?
He played in the game on Sunday.
It's going to be a big
Saturday.
This coming Sunday is a big deal. Like, it's exciting. Football's starting. I'm so excited. If you live or own property along the coast of South Carolina, you probably need insurance. We Insure Advocates is a locally owned, independent agency with industry-leading service support. Our team of customer-centric agents can explain your coverage options and help you craft an insurance program that fits your needs and budget. Data-driven for better value, people-led for better service. That's the difference of we. For all of your property insurance needs, please find us at weinsureadvocates.com or call us at 843-491-6990. Tell me a book that you like, Marco. Something good.
Well, honestly, I think the best book, if you're new in real estate or if you've been in it for a while, it's a book by Gary Keller called The One Thing.
Yep.
And I need to read it again because it keeps you on focus. And the whole direction of the book is you can focus on one thing at a time to get you to the end. So it keeps you from getting sidetracked and going off on tangents. It's like, you want to have $1 million? Okay, you have to do this. And before that, you have to do this. And before that, this. And I just think it's a great book. And now I'm trying to start reading Atomic Habits.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
And sometimes it's like, sometimes I'll read a lot. But then sometimes if I'm such a binger that if I don't have time to spend 3 or 4 hours reading to knock it out, then it's hard for me to start because I can't read 10 pages a day. I tried that and I just lose too much of the information.
Yeah. You're a lot like me, but I will say Atomic Habits is like college level. I mean, it is. Darren Hardy's super smart, and his compound effect was really, really profound for me. But Atomic Habits was like taking that and putting it on a steroid shot or two.
Oh yeah,
James Clear wrote that book, and he's really, really good.
Bring your highlighter for that one
for sure. And I don't really like when I read, I fall asleep. I got too many kids. I'm just like, so I like to Audible. And this podcast actually can be found on Audible now, which is pretty cool. So last thing, I can't believe it's been 30 minutes. You guys are amazing. It just flew by, and I've got 1,000 things I want to know more, but I don't have time. Because I want to know how the Patriots season's going to go. I want to know what kind of food you guys had on your last trip. I want you to describe that vacation you take with your dad every year. I've got so many things I want to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But tell me, what is there one thing in your life that you do? I like to find out for the listeners if we can get a tip or two on how to rise up. And what I mean by rise up is rise kind of above the fray. There's a lot of nonsense that goes on, a lot of swampish things, a lot of things going on in the world, not political, just in the world that you need to have an attitude adjustment sometimes. Is there something in your life that you do on a daily basis that helps you rise up?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it's very simple and probably a lot of people do it, but music for me every day. I wake up in the morning and that is the first thing I do. I start my coffee and I listen to some songs. My favorite band is Widespread Panic. They're amazing. And they have this song called We Are the Good People. It's one of my favorites to wake up to. I listen to it a lot of times a week. The song says, we are the good people, the ones your mama warned you about. So it wakes me up in the morning and it just kind of, you think about it, you're like, why would she warn you? But it's those people that your mom says you're going to meet in your life that you want to keep in touch with. And I think music says a lot. And so I try to listen and wake up to that, maybe do some journaling along with that, just to kind of set a mindset for the day and to kind of rise above, to your point, that swampish idea of of life going around sometimes.
Yeah. So widespread panic.
Yep.
And the song was?
It's called Good People.
Good People. Are you familiar with that song?
I am not.
Okay. Well, we're going to put the link there. You and I can both go listen to it because I'm going to. I'm a music. Yeah. I love music. I think there's actually in Momentum, our training program, it talks about before you go on an appointment to get your mind on the right channel, like the listing channel or the buyer channel. And part of the tip there is to put some music on that gets your head right.
Oh, definitely. Here's one more for you. It's called Pigeons by them. And one of the lyrics says, "What's it like washing windows when you know that there are pigeons on the roof?" So you think about that for a second and you're like, well, how do I feel about that? But the pigeons are providing work for them and they go back every day and have work to do. So, you got to think about the good and the bad in that.
That is so freaking deep.
That is so deep. Holy moly. I mean, we just took this. I'm going to have to put this podcast in the self-help category. After that just took it to a whole nother level.
My last concert was Styx, REO Speedwagon, and Loverboy.
Nice.
Hey.
There you go. And you could have been born in the 60s, Lindsay. You should have been born in the 60s.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think I could have fit in there.
You could have fit in there. That's right. Well, that's good. So music, I love that. Marco, what's one thing you do to rise up?
Honestly, one thing that I'm fortunate where I am in the Carolina Florist office is upstairs. We're a bunch of cubicles, so it's kind of open. And whenever I'm down, I almost try to search out somebody having an issue so I can help them, because that'll get my mind out of like feeling bad for myself and helping somebody else. And that usually makes me feel a lot better helping somebody.
So that's the $1 million tip. That's similar to what Pamela said that episode was, focus on helping others. Man, that is such a good one. And I could take a lesson from that because I get so woe is me sometimes. And there's people out there that need you always, right? That's a good one, man. I appreciate that very much. And you guys have been, this is so easy. We just talked for 30 minutes. You're amazing. I'm hoping that I can tell us the best way to get in touch with you, Marco, if somebody wanted to reach out. You don't have to give your cell phone number. I'll put all the notes, but spell your name for us.
MarcoMorales. Marco Morales.
Chicken and beans. The guy can cook. Don't forget that. Good. That's great. What about you, Lindsay? Where can we find you?
You can find me online anywhere. Lindsay Benton. LindsayBenton. So Facebook, Instagram. I'm pretty much on all of the things that a young person would be. So
we're going to start blowing up TikTok too.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, there's a little bit of a teaser. The two are going to tell some dad jokes on TikTok. I cannot wait. I
just made what I think is an amazing TikTok video today. It's super basic, but I put music on it, and I don't know. I just think it's awesome.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, well, you need her seal of approval and let her share it and get it out there to her influence, and it will be amazing. So hey, let me put you on the spot, Marco. Can you pull a dad joke out as we wrap up today? You got a good one? I'll give you a second, and I'll just do my final comments, and then you can land us on at the end. I appreciate you guys being here very much. Thank you guys for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. Marco Morales is going to take us out with a dad joke.
Dad joke. This is one of my favorites, and I'm just going to tell it. There's kind of a visual because I am very demonstrative.
Yeah, tell us.
So the joke is, what do you call a nosy pepper? Excuse me. What does a nosy pepper do?
Gets all up in your business.
Gets jalapeno business.
Had you told her that before?
No,
it was that in your routine?
Yeah.
I read that in this book. I'm just kidding.
Listen, that was in her book. That was number 93. Well, this was all free. That joke was free. All this advice was free. Follow us if you can on Rise Up in Real Estate, and we will see you next time. Well, hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. If you liked hanging out with us today, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Rise Up in Real Estate. Also, follow us right now on your favorite podcast host to hear more episodes. We really appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And until next time, let's do each other a favor and all help each other rise up.